instructions. As the Hang Seng Index fell from 3,200 points and broke below 3,000 points, he immediately placed multiple buy orders, aggressively buying the CSI 300 at the bottom. This time, a large amount of capital was involved in the buying, and it was clear that many financial institutions were working to drive down the CSI 300. Qin Fei couldn't help but sneer. These people are truly harming the CSI 300 and many investors. If this continues to drag down, I fear many people in the A-share market will be driven to despair. Chapter 87. Not something ordinary people can play with. The recent drop in the CSI 300 is indeed linked to many financial institutions, including some domestic capital from the mainland, as well as a portion of foreign capital that has no intention of allowing the CSI 300 to rise. A rise in the CSI 300 would lead to profits for shareholders, and if some shareholders make money, a large amount of capital would inevitably flow into the domestic A-share market. This is something that certain individuals do not want to see. A rising A-share market would attract more funds, and the only way to let funds flow out of the stock market is to push it down, which could lead to capital flowing to Hong Kong, Macau, or other countries. Therefore, some capital forces will continue to push it down. When Qin Fei began bottom fishing at 2,900 points, his orders were quickly cleared after he placed them, as many people bought his orders. As long as the index does not drop below 2,900 points from the starting point, Qin Fei's principal will not incur losses. If it rises above 3,000 points, his principal will yield profits. If it surpasses 3,100 points, his profits will start at over 20. Conversely, if it drops below 2,900 points, his losses will also start at 20. This made Yang Feng very nervous, as each fluctuation represents a significant change in numbers. It was so terrifying that when he bought in, he only invested 5 million renminbi of his savings. After all, with such a small investment, losing it would not be a huge loss. Even if he lost everything, with Yang Yi to help him make money, 5 million renminbi was still not much for him. He could only watch Qin Fei's account assets, which were over 400 billion renminbi. Even a one increase made his heart race. Finance is not something ordinary people can play with. In this instance, after completing the bottom fishing at 2,900 points, instead of immediately rising, the news reports began to highlight some negative sentiments about the CSI 300 index. Interestingly, many of these reports originated from the lighthouse country. It was quite amusing that the media from the lighthouse country would release news singing the blues about the A-share market, showing more concern for another country's financial trends than for their own. The U.S. stock market had already plummeted, and there was little coverage of its decline, with many investors from the lighthouse country having already taken drastic measures. Yet, they were concerned about the CSI 300 in China. Seeing several news articles made Qin Fei smirk continuously. The A-share market would experience significant fluctuations after previously breaking through the 4,000-point barrier. It would now fall back to the bottom. Senior Wall Street analysts predicted that the CSI 300 could not rise, and this time, it would lead to a massive decline in A-shares. The A-share market could not recover. 2,900 points was the peak, and it would soon drop below 2,800 points. Once the news was released, it was clear that the CSI 300 index had dropped by 10 points. Although it was only 50 points under the circumstances of leverage trading, it represented several percentage points of profit fluctuation. This sudden development startled Yang Feng, and with a change in his expression, he couldn't help but speak up. Xiao Fei, the CSI 300 has started to decline. We've already lost tens of billions of RMB. Should we hold on, or should we cut our losses quickly? If it really drops below 2,800 points, as the news reports say, we could lose hundreds of billions. Qin Fei remained calm, took a sip of coffee, and replied nonchalantly. A small drop is definitely going to happen, but there's no need to worry. 2,880 points is the final drop. Trust me. Yang Feng, more worried about his own money than anything else, looked at Qin Fei's composed face and sighed, unsure of what to say. Qin Fei remained calm and asked Zhao Liying to refill his coffee. Sensing Qin Fei's steadiness, Zhao Liying was also calm, even though the amount of capital was enormous. She still trusted Qin Fei. Willing to trust Qin Fei, Zhao Liying didn't care whether he was wealthy or not. Even if Qin Fei went bankrupt, she would be willing to help him get back on his feet and take on debts to assist him. And how could Qin Fei possibly incur losses? The current drop was all part of his plan. He was calm. In his view, no matter how negative the sentiment, as long as the future he predicted remained unchanged, he would not feel the slightest bit anxious, patiently waiting for the data to rise. When the CSI 300 index reached 2,880 points, Yang Fong was nervously standing by, anxious and repeatedly checking the data trends. He looked ashen. He even thought about directly selling the 5 million renminbi he bought. He was truly afraid it would drop below 2,800 points. Xiao Fei, will it really go up? It's already at 2,880 points. Qin Fei sensed that Yang Fong was an ordinary person. Without predictive abilities, he might be more anxious than Yang Fong himself. Now, many capital firms likely thought they had already won. Qin Fei, without a hint of panic, said lightly, "Uncle Fong, don't worry. It won't drop below 2,880 points. Just watch." Yang Fong anxiously looked on. This money was a significant portion of his nephew's funds, and he was genuinely worried about losses. With so much money, one could comfortably live several lifetimes in the mainland. It was bold of Qin Fei to bet on the CSI 300 and to bottom fish directly. Soon, the CSI 300 halted at 2,880 points and began to rise, moving up by 5 points at a time. The trend line began to show a small upward movement. Although the fluctuations were minor and not comparable to previous declines, it was indeed a small upward trend. Yang Fong was brightened by this, becoming immensely happy and excited. Unable to contain himself. Great, it's rising. It really is starting to go up. Qin Fei remained calm. After all, this was all within his expectations. This was just the beginning. He didn't forget to reassure Yang Fong. "Uncle Fong, this is just the beginning. The current upward fluctuation has barely returned to 2,900 points. We'll talk again when it breaks through 3,000 points. When it hits 3,050 points, we'll sell off a portion and then continue bottom fishing from 3,000 points." Yang Fong's face lit up with excitement upon hearing Qin Fei say it could return to 3,000 points, his face breaking into a radiant smile. At least the funds used for bottom fishing were not at a loss, and the profit fluctuations rising by just one equated to tens of billions of RMB in assets. This was incredibly profitable. The speed of making money in finance is indeed terrifying. Such a terrifying ability to earn money surpasses even the strongest enterprises in the country. Yang Fong couldn't help but marvel at the financial market, recognizing it wasn't something ordinary people could play with. As an ordinary person, he could only admire it as he watched the CSI 300 index break through 3,000 points. Once it reached the 3,050 point mark, Qin Fei issued an order to sell off, securing a wave of profits and pushing the assets over 500 billion renminbi, while also continuing to bottom fish. Because at 3,050 points, there would be a small drop, falling back to 3,000 points, at which point he would buy again. This time was the real rise. This series of operations astounded Yang Fong. He understood very well that, without seizing the opportunity to sell at 3,050 points and continuing to bottom fish from 3,000 points, it would be impossible to profit from the subsequent rise. Only by capturing the intermediate drop and selling off again could he achieve significant returns. He was in awe of Qin Fei's analytical skills and trading prowess. All of this left him deeply shaken, and at the same time, he understood that the financial stock market was not something ordinary people could engage in. As an ordinary person, he should stay away from stock trading and finance. Otherwise, you wouldn't know how you died. Now Yang Fong understands the terror of finance. It is essentially a competition among various capitals. And how could ordinary stock investors compete with these big capitals? By the time it happens, they wouldn't know how they died. Next, the CSI 300 drops to 3,000 points, then rebounds to 3,000 points and starts to rise. As it breaks through to 300 points, Qin Fei can let them sell off a wave. Starting from 300 points to 400 points, they begin to sell. Finally, everything is sold off cleanly, and the CSI 300 stabilizes at an index of 450 points without a further drop. The closing index is also fixed at this point, which lets Yang Fong, who helped Qin Fei with the sell-off, breathe a sigh of relief. Looking at this index, he sighs and smiles. Xiaofei, it seems this time we made quite a profit. Counting the two returns, there should be a profit of 150 billion renminbi. That's amazing. In such a short time, we've earned 150 billion. We can directly buy several pieces of development land now. Qin Fei laughed and responded to Yang Fang's words. Uncle Fang, what you said is also what I was thinking. I'm actually interested in several development lands in Beishun. Aren't there a few factory areas in the outskirts that are for sale? If we acquire a few plots, we can establish a commercial center, which will definitely be profitable. Yang Fang was shocked to hear this, but after thinking about it, it makes sense. Now that Qin Fei has made over 150 billion renminbi in one go, buying land is indeed the most cost-effective option. Even if they wanted to buy buildings now, there aren't that many buildings available for them to purchase. This is 150 billion renminbi. How many real estate developers don't have this much funding? Buying a few plots of land to develop themselves is quite good. They can develop as much as they want, and when the time comes, they can build as many buildings as they want. The housing prices in Beishun still have room to rise, and now 2009 is just around the corner. The real upward fluctuations are just beginning. Yang Fang nodded in agreement with a smile. That's true. I've looked at several areas, particularly those in the center of subway construction. These lands are being eyed by many developers. They all want to buy them, and they can definitely make a profit. As long as we buy them and develop them ourselves, we can earn quite a bit. Qin Fei laughed and planned to let Yang Fang compete for a few development lands. Acquiring them for several hundred billion RMB would also be profitable. He just needed Yang Fang to help him bid, so he provided Yang Fang with 50 billion renminbi in funds for the bidding. After the bidding, additional funds would be needed for development. Developing land indeed requires a lot of capital, but the profits are also extremely terrifying. Chapter 88. The slightly floaty little cousin otherwise. Certain individuals wouldn't be able to reach the level of becoming the richest. Real estate is indeed a lucrative business. Now, Qin Fei has exchanged over 500 billion renminbi for about 650 billion Hong Kong dollars, depositing it into his account at a bank in Hong Kong. Once the funds are credited, his trip to the mainland can be considered complete. After packing his things, Qin Fei plans to head back. He looks at Zhao lying in front of him and, after Yang Fang leaves, gently touches her hair. He softly asks, I'm planning to go back to Hong Kong. Do you want to come with me? He genuinely intends to take Zhao lying with him, but it's clear that she doesn't want to go, as she is very smart and knows about another big star, Yang Yi, who is closer to Qin Fei. If she goes there, she will definitely feel jealous. Hong Kong is not her home ground, while the mainland, especially in Beishun, is where she truly belongs. Being as clever as she is, she knows how to maintain control and shakes her head gently, saying, No, I'm afraid it will upset your cousin, and you wouldn't want to see us competing and causing chaos for the company. Zhao Liang smiles lightly and actively avoids going to Hong Kong, not want to make a big fuss. Qin Fei chuckles, not insisting too much, as he understands Zhao Liang's intelligence. If she goes to Hong Kong, she will undoubtedly encounter Yang Yi, and even if they don't meet, the media will report on it. The paparazzi in Hong Kong are quite formidable and are aware of his relationships with two big stars. Those media outlets will help spread the news, and soon enough, the two big stars will be at odds with each other, causing quite a stir. It is precisely for this reason that Zhao Liang wishes to stay in Beishun. Qin Fei's expression softens as he says lightly, I will be back soon. He informs Qin Yao that he plans to return. Traveling from Beishun to Hong Kong is quite convenient. Yang Yi also arrives to pick them up, driving a Ferrari and wearing sunglasses, looking very cool. She is now the head of Qin's Entertainment in Hong Kong, holding 30 of the shares, which makes her a major figure in the company. With Qin Fei holding 70, she has the next largest share. Since Qin Fei is unlikely to manage the company directly, all major company matters fall to her. Currently, Yang Yi has taken on several films, and her fame is skyrocketing in Hong Kong, a place where the entertainment industry is declining. It's fortunate that she is young baby. Her acting skills and looks are impressive, making it natural for her to be liked by fans. Moreover, Yang Yi loves Hong Kong and rarely takes on ads from the mainland. Even when some mainland advertisers invite her, she is not interested, and some have even offered exorbitant fees of 10 million renminbi for advertisements, which she has turned down. After all, she doesn't lack money with a wealthy cousin and the dividends from the entertainment company, She doesn't need to spend money on shopping. When she sees Qin Fei, she is very happy to greet him and wishes to please him, as he is the only one she wants to impress. Cousin, you were gone for several days. I missed you so much. Did you miss me? Even if you didn't, you should think about the baby, she says. I feel like the baby is moving now. Sometimes I can feel him kicking me. After saying that, she grabs his hand to feel her belly, and Qin Yao beside them also becomes interested, joining in to feel Yang Yi's flat stomach, as if they could truly sense something. Qin Fei finds it a bit amusing. It's only been less than a month. How could she possibly feel the baby kicking? This girl really doesn't understand biology. Qin Fei shakes his head and gives Yang Yi a look, glancing at her nervous manager beside them. In fact, he already knows about Yang Yi not taking on mainland ads. He received a call from the company when he returned. He still needs to give her a proper lesson on this. He realizes that sometimes giving too much can make the women around him a bit too floaty. And Yang Yi is quite floaty now, thanks to having him as her wealthy cousin. She has even stopped taking ads and is just lounging around all day. At this rate, she will soon be surpassed by Zhao Liying. Looking at Yang Yi's lazy demeanor, Qin Fei feels he needs to educate her properly. All right, Yao Yao, you go back first. I will take baby to the company. I haven't checked out the office there yet. Qin Yao agrees without thinking too much and is sent home as per Qin Fei's arrangement. Meanwhile, Qin Fei accompanies Yang Yi and gets into the car to the company. Once inside, Yang Yi clings to him and tries to lean in for a kiss, but unexpectedly, Qin Fei dodges, leaving her looking aggrieved. She almost thinks her cousin doesn't like her and looks at him nervously. Cousin, did I do something wrong? Qin Fei doesn't answer her, only looking at the nervous manager beside them. This female manager was hired with Zhao Liying's help from the mainland and is a graduate of a reputable acting school. She has both talent and resources, making her a promising candidate. Qin Fei's gaze makes the manager uneasy, her expression changing as she genuinely thinks she has done something wrong. Qin Fei then speaks up directly. Tell me how many ads Yang Yi has taken recently, and whether any mainland advertisers have complained. Why hasn't she gone to the mainland to take on an advertisement yet? The female manager glances at Yang Yi and cautiously replies, Ms. Baby said she wasn't feeling well and didn't want to travel long distances, which is why she hasn't taken any. Qin Fei scoffs, as Beijing and Hong Kong are less than an hour apart by car. How could that be considered a long-distance trip? Moreover, his company has several cars, and the manager can drive. Is it really that tiring? In fact, many big stars from the mainland have such quirky attitudes. The bigger their fame and power, the more temperamental they can be. The production teams can't control them, but Qin Fei doesn't intend to let Yang Yi develop this kind of personality. This girl being overly spoiled is not good either. For the sake of his entertainment company and her future development, after all, she is only in this small place of Hong Kong. He knows she cannot grow here. His expression turns serious as he coldly states, I arranged for a car to go back and forth, which shouldn't take more than 3 hours. Shooting an advertisement won't take an hour, even with some spare time. It should only be about 5 hours. For a 10 million renminbi ad fee, that's 2 million renminbi per hour. Is she really looking down on it? The manager lowers her head, not daring to say a word. The company cannot afford to look down on this kind of money. To be honest, a pay rate of 2 million renminbi per hour is quite impressive. Who in Hong Kong can match that? Those past artists in Hong Kong never had such salaries. Even those faded second-tier Hong Kong stars, after filming an entire movie, will be lucky to earn 2 million renminbi. It's because Yang Yi is currently famous. Having previously shot ads in the mainland and gained popularity again, she has vaguely developed the strength to break into the first tier, which is why she can command such advertising fees. The manager's expression shifts as she glances at Yang Yi, knowing that Qin Fei's cold demeanor and words are meant for Yang Yi to hear. Even though Qin Fei doesn't directly address Yang Yi, she trembles all over, realizing her cousin is upset. Looking aggrieved, she pouts and says, Cousin, I'm sorry. I just thought it would be boring to shoot ads in the mainland. I think the entertainment industry in Hong Kong is also quite good. ISNT, there's still TVB. If someone wants to shoot a drama, they can go to TVB. Why does it have to be in the mainland, where things are still underdeveloped and chaotic? Pouting and still complaining now clearly shows disdain for the mainland. Yang He has indeed been spoiled in Hong Kong and has developed quite a bit of a local temperament. It's no wonder, after all. She grew up here, and hasn't he experienced any setbacks? From the very beginning, he helped plan everything, allowing Yang Yi to grow without any obstacles. And now she has directly become a big star in Hong Kong, which leads her to believe she is really impressive. She thinks she is the true big star of Hong Kong and sees no need to go to those remote and rundown places in the mainland. In Hong Kong, she can still make money. This kind of thinking only made Qin Fei frown, and soon the car arrived at the company. He coldly glanced at Yang Yi, and this time his emotionless words really made her nervous. "Come with me to the office." Yang Yi sensed the seriousness on Qin Fei's face and realized things weren't that simple, so she softly agreed. As she approached, looking at Qin Fei's expression, she nervously spoke up. "Cousin, are you angry? I didn't mean to upset you. I just want to be with you. Please don't be angry, cousin." Qin Fei took Yang Yi into the office, shut the door firmly, pointed to the sofa not far away, and said, "Kneel down." Yang Yi blushed and said, "I'm pregnant. I can't do that." Qin Fei shot her a glare, his expression calm. "Don't overthink it. I'm just giving you a little lesson. Hurry up." Only then did Yang Yi comply. Qin Fei raised his hand and directly spanked her. This made Yang Yi yelp in pain, feeling wronged. Qin Fei didn't stop and taught her a lesson until she was close to crying. Then he finally stopped and pulled her into his arms to comfort her. "You need to understand, nurturing you until now is to help you expand into the mainland market. Now that you refuse to go to the mainland and just want to stay here, that's impossible. You probably don't know that I have a sign star in the mainland, Zhao Liying. She's already a second-tier star with one movie, and another one will make her first tier. Do you know what that represents?" Hearing Qin Fei's words, Yang Yi, who was originally a bit wronged, bit her silver teeth and nodded. She understood very well that she had indeed made a mistake, and after being taught by Qin Fei, she realized her error. She said pitifully, "I'm sorry, cousin. I won't do this again in the future." Chapter 89. This girl is really addicted. Yang Yi realized her mistake. Hearing Qin Fei's words, she felt that she had been too spoiled and that it was wrong to make her cousin angry. It was right for her cousin to teach her a lesson. Her current status was all thanks to him. Without her cousin, she wouldn't have her current position. She shouldn't provoke him. Looking at Qin Fei's expression, Yang Yi put on a flattering face and leaned closer. "Cousin, I'm sorry. Please don't be angry. I'll listen to whatever you say from now on. I'll do anything to make you happy." Seeing her acting so charmingly made Qin Fei truly surprised. He even suspected that Yang Yi might have a bit of a submissive tendency. After being reprimanded, she was actually trying to please him. Taking the initiative to be nice made Qin Fei feel quite enjoyed. He looked at her little head and smiled playfully. After a while, Yang Yi helped him with some tasks, looking sweetly at him and clearly showing even more concern for his feelings than before. This girl was really getting addicted. "Cousin, are you feeling better now?" Qin Fei felt quite relaxed and patted Yang Yi's cheek, pulling her up. "Don't worry, cousin isn't angry with you. Just don't do this again in the future. Right now, the entertainment industry in Hong Kong can't compare to the mainland. Although I know you can make a lot of money in Hong Kong, our company's main development location is in the mainland." Yang Yi didn't dare to oppose at all and nodded repeatedly. I'm Sully, Kuzeng. I won't do this again. I'll go to the mainland tomorrow, and I'll take on advertisements there. I'll make sure to promote our company well in the movies." Qin Fei still felt sorry for her. He didn't want Yang Yi to be too tired. He just wanted to guide her to avoid being too spoiled, especially since Yang Yi was pregnant with his baby. He didn't want her to be too busy. "You're pregnant, so if you want to rest in the future, you can. I'll help you hire a few female bodyguards. When you go out, you'll have company, and we'll also get you a few assistants. You're about to become a top star, so you need to pay attention to your identity." Yang Yi nodded happily, her smile bright as she talked about her rising fame. "Cousin, I'm already quite famous now. Hee. In the mainland, they pay me at least 10 million for advertisements, especially now that many people in Hong Kong know her. Going to the mainland would definitely put her on par with those famous stars from Hong Kong." Indeed, Yang Yi had already made a name for herself in Hong Kong. If she went to the mainland, she would surely reach the level of a top star. It was reasonable for advertisement fees to start at 10 million RMB. 10 million RMB for an advertisement is not low in the mainland, But one must remember that this is right after 2008, when the mainland entertainment industry was fully developing. Soon, the mainland entertainment industry would enter a peak growth phase. Don't even mention 10 million RMB for an advertisement. A movie could offer 100 million in fees. To be precise, the starting price for a blockbuster star could be 100 million in compensation. A popular star could even earn 1 billion in fees. Who would dare to believe that? This was a movie with 1 billion in fees. Now for Yang Yi, 10 million was just average. Qin Fei laughed, holding her affectionately. 10 million RMB for an advertisement is nothing. Cousin isn't concerned about that money. It's her influence in the mainland that matters. By then, don't be surprised if you earn 100 million for a movie. Yang Yi was stunned, unable to believe what 100 million in fees would be like, her face full of curiosity. After discussing the mainland entertainment scene, Qin Fei also mentioned that he had signed 2 major directors and was nurturing another big star. This made Yang Yi a bit nervous. She knew Qin Fei was serious about developing the entertainment company in the mainland. If she continued to be lazy, she might be surpassed, especially since Qin Fei was now signing another new big star. She felt a twinge of jealousy. Cousin, you're so bad. It must be a female star, especially that Zhao Liying. I've seen her movies, and whatever she has, I want to. I'm going to the mainland tomorrow, and I want to meet Zhao Liying and see what she is capable of. Pouting, Yang Yi wanted to compare with her. This time, when she went to the mainland, she wanted to see Zhao Liying, who had become a second-tier star. She was quite jealous of how one movie could elevate someone to that status. Qin Fei smiled at her jealousy, but said nothing. After all, comparing 2 actresses could benefit the company. After spending some time with Yang Yi at the company, he soon left. Once he was gone, Yang Yi entered the office. Her arrival made the company's staff hold their breath. Although she was a well-behaved little cousin in front of Qin Fei, within the company, she was definitely the one in charge. Not to mention, just days ago, when she had a little temper tantrum, even her manager didn't dare to provoke her. Everyone in the company feared this big star. While others could act cute in front of her cousin, to the regular staff, she was an immensely glorious and lofty star. The female manager was quite nervous, fearing Yang Yi would blame her as she approached cautiously. Bowing her head, she greeted, "Miss Baby, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk to the boss like that. Please don't fire me. I know I was wrong." Yang Yi glanced at her indifferently, not taking it to heart. "Well, cousin told me, and I also think I was wrong. Let's just forget about today's incident." The female manager breathed a sigh of relief, and when she heard Yang Yi continue speaking, her eyes lit up with joy. My cousin asked me to go to the mainland to take more movies and advertisements, and I want to go play there too. Help me arrange it. I plan to leave tomorrow. Cousin will help me find a few female bodyguards to go with me." The manager's face was filled with excitement. After all, if Yang Yi really went to the mainland, it would be beneficial for both of them. She admired Qin Fei immensely. Once he arrived, everything was sorted out. The boss was amazing. "Okay, Miss Baby, I'll go find a driver and assistants right now. We have many companies in the mainland that are eager to invite you over. I'll handle it immediately." Yang Yi nodded, a smirk on her face as she thought of something. She couldn't help but continue, "By the way, also help me investigate that Zhao Liying. I want to know all about her. Who is she? Which media school did she graduate from? Who's in her family? My cousin trusts her, but I don't." Clenching her fists, Yang Yi wouldn't allow anyone to deceive her cousin. Especially when she thought of something, she gritted her teeth. What her cousin wouldn't do, she had to do. With a cold expression, she said, "Also, help me find a few private doctors and institutions. I heard she is pregnant with my cousin's child. Who knows if it's true? Those women are very cunning. It might be someone else's child. In any case, I need to do a paternity test." The female manager didn't dare to say a word, looking at Yang Yi's expression. This big star was not someone she could provoke. After all, Yang Yi was backed not only by Qin Fei, but also the Yang family. The Yang family's power was not weak. They stood behind Qin Fei, and certainly wouldn't allow anyone to deceive him. So, what Qin Fei didn't want to do, she would have to do. She had to investigate clearly and not let certain women deceive her cousin. Unfortunately, she didn't know that with Qin Fei's 2 lifetimes of experience, who could deceive him? After returning, Qin Fei found that there were quite a few people at his villa. The 4 great families of Xiangjiang came to visit again because the Hang Seng Index had risen, returning to 13,000 points. The four families came to express their gratitude.